Victoria Wood, like so many of Britain's most creative people, comes from the north. The mere existence of Victoria Wood is enough to remind us that the traditions of the north are real, rich, and to be revered. Victoria was Christopher Dean's first ice dancing partner. But they turned the local ice rink into a fish market. Her skating career came to an end, and now she must scratch a living anonymously as the cleverest and most successful young female comic in the whole of Britain, north or south. Victoria Wood. Victoria, I'm about to interrogate you ruthlessly for 10 minutes, which I'm sure is the last thing you'd like to be doing tonight. I know you've recently been on holiday, yeah?
Yes, I have.
Were you endlessly bothered by your fellow holiday makers?
No, I wasn't spotted. I went promenading up and down, placard saying I'm off the television, and nobody said a blind thing.
Where was this?
I went to St. Lucia in the Caribbean.
Is that a West Indie?
It's the West Indies, yes.
And what did you do, apart from parading up and down?
Oh, well, when I wasn't parading up and down, I was lying on my back, toasting my doodahs.
You toast the bear doodahs, do you?
Well, in private I did, on the balcony. I thought, well, I best not let them loose on the beach. You know? Bury a couple of small children, so... so I just lay there, which is all right, except when they came to change the light bulbs. Oh, good morning. Yes, no, you carry on.
How do you get a tan?
Yes, I did. Do you want to see? Get down.
Any pain attached to the tan?
No, I love it. I love tanning.
What do your fellow holiday makers do? What do they do to amuse themselves?
There was a reggae competition one lunchtime when it was raining, and there was only two people doing it. There was a little boy doing it really, really badly. He was only about 3. We couldn't blame him. And there's his mother saying, "Yes, I see. You'll bend the knees. I see. I see." And then there was a limbo dancing competition in the evening and the same woman appeared, slightly more tanked up. And her husband was doing limbo dancing, and for some reason he was wearing polyester trousers and a bare chest, and trousers like yours and socks and shoes like yours. You know, which is all right here, but in St. Lucia he looked wildly out of place. And his idea of doing limbo dancing, he was so drunk he was jumping over the top of the bar, maybe like, no, you go underneath. And people were saying, "Aren't you going to do it, Victoria?" And I was going, "No, I don't want to do it, please," like that sort of thing. And this woman decided she was going to do it, and she had a long skirt on, and she tucked it into her knickers, as if she was going paddling. And she bent down, and a waiter came up with a tea towel very hastily and hung it in front of her legs so that we couldn't see anything. Very embarrassing.
Who was providing the music? Was there a...
There was one of their appalling steel bands. I mean, their main export is bananas, it's not music. It sounded like an accident in a bicycle factory.
All steel bands are appalling, aren't they? But
these were worse.
Yeah. I always thought a steel band is just the ruination of a perfectly good set of 44-gallon oil drums. Holidays are a bad scene generally, aren't they? And do you seek out bad scenes and use them for material? You're a great one for storing up.
I don't seek them out. I'd like to have a good time like everybody else, you know. But if you're going to have a bad time, you might as well make a few quid out of it later.
But you must take note. You must take notes.
No, I don't.
Well, you've got a fantastic memory.
I'm very worried because in about 2 minutes I'm going to run out of things to say to you.
You're doing fine, but you've got this terrific memory you can rely on. And then if you don't take notes, you must.
No, I don't take. No, I just got to make most of it up, really. No, I don't really copy what things have really happened. I make most of them up.
Well, you store things away, though. You must see things that inspire.
Yes, I do.
I love that. Your sketches are based on such close observation. I love that sketch in your last series about student life, which certainly matched my opinions of my memories of student life. You're a drama student. What do they actually do, drama students? They
feel each other up with the lights out. And then the lights go on and you're feeling 2 men have been mending the coffee machine. Yeah, we did that for 3 years.
Is that what you were in it for? You thought this is...
BA groping, I guess. No, I thought we'd do a lot of acting, but they said, no, you're no good at acting. You've got to do groping instead.
Did you learn anything? Did you learn to did it bring you out of yourself?
No, it brought me into myself, because I was quite up when I went there. I was 9 stone, cheekbones, and none of this and all, you know. I arrived. By the end of the first year, I was 13 stone, living in a bedsitter, going to bed at 8 o'clock every night, eating ready bread, and listening to the organist entertain. So...
The system tends not to recover, does it? It's very...
I got my diary from when I was at university, and I thought it would all be about how we'd done marvellous improvisations and done lots of acting and really got to know each other. And it says things like, had pie and chips, you know, that's For 9 years, had pie and chips, had milk, had a tin of beans.
No people in the diary, just pasties.
No people, there's lots of food.
But you must be gregarious. I mean, you're an outgoing type.
No, but it's on and off, you know. When I felt all right, I was, and the rest of the time I was in bed with the radio on in the dark.
Or searching out the local sources of supplies of biscuits and stuff like that. Yes, you like chocolate?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. When you go to Safeways or Tesco's or one of those, do you know that counter that sells all the things like chocolate twiglets and so on? Can you go past that without buying something?
Yes. Yeah. And I go back in and get them later.
You have green vegetables and stuff now, do
you? Yes, and I swim and I do all the things you're supposed to do.
Lean cuisine? You've tried it?
No, I've not grasped that,
It's fantastic.
Is it good?
It comes in a plastic packet. Just in 20 minutes, you take it out with lean cuisine. The Americans Sweet, you're a serious swimmer, aren't you? You're some sort of champion.
People laugh at me when I do it every time.
Well, that's because you're going so fast, isn't it? I mean,
No, I'm going terribly slowly. They can't believe it's a person. You're trying to fish me out. What the hell's that in the water?
It's not as embarrassing as buying clothes, is it?
I have a wardrobe full of very brand new things that don't fit me at all because I wouldn't try them on in the shop. Because the cubicle curtains have got a gap at each side so they can look through at you. Never get those on.
A lot of people who have insubstantial figures don't realise that the problem that people with substantial figures have with jeans, which I find is that the central seam wears out because the thighs actually erode the cloth. Have you ever...
No, I haven't got that. I haven't got that. I've got a lot of it hanging over the top, right? You can get them zipped up if you're lying down, then you stand up and this is all of all this. You can carry it back to put it all in.
But it probably doesn't take away your desire to be a sylph. Do you have a secret desire to be Jerry Hall?
No, she's too tall. She can be banging her head on the ceiling. No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to be much different, really.
And she's bony, isn't she, really?
Well, I've never rubbed up against her, so...
Some people say that's the reason why Mick Jagger's lips look so bruised. We'll have to take that out later. You've got a... In all your work, you've got a particularly sharp eye for what happens on television. I think you watch it the way I do, like, a lot.
I love it. I love it, yeah.
What do you like best?
I like documentaries best, because then, you know, you can see what real people say. I like soap operas. I like most things.
What about Crossroads? You're a very important Crossroads student, aren't you?
Yes, I've not watched it for a bit. Because when I'm busy, I can't watch as much as I want to watch. You know, if I'm actually writing send-ups of Crossroads, I haven't got time to watch it. You know. Yeah, but they've updated it and they've splashed out what appears to be at least another £5 a week on it. And they've got film in it and they've changed the titles, they've changed the music.
Yeah.
It's great.
And but there's that car in the garage.
That car is a different one. It's not the one that they've been mending for 12 years. It's another one. They mended that one, yeah. Another one,
it's a ride-out for the old car, yeah. You're a Mastermind fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I like that. I like things where you can shout out.
Yeah. Just shout out the answer ahead of time, or...
Well, I think you ought to say it before they do. My husband doesn't agree with me. He thinks if he thought the answer sometime within the week after the programme was on,
my children follow the same rule. I said I knew that.
I knew that.
Yeah. So they added to their score, yeah. It's getting very easier and easier to be Mastermind as long as you pick a very restricted subject like the history of the combine harvester 1922 to 1924.
So what I ate yesterday for my dinner.
Well, it brings us back to the subject of food, and I'm sure we'll get back to that later when Peter Cook is here. So for the moment, I'm going to say Victoria Wood, stick around, and thank you very much. And we've been joined on the oboe by a man whose comic imagination did much to create the fertile jungle across whose moist floor the rest of us now lurch blindly, crying out in discovery at logs which he cast aside as twigs. Who else fits this lush description except Peter Cook?
thoroughly at ease now.
Yes,
Clive.
I thought that would settle you down.
Logs and twigs.
Peter Cook has often been called one of the great wits of the 20th century. Less often, he has been called one of the great wits of the 19th century. He has only rarely been called one of the great wits of the 3rd century BC, but the claim has been made. Yet, what is wit? Or rather, who is a wit? Or again, who are the wits? How can we spot a wit in action so that we can get there before he or she finishes saying a witty thing? And so, join in the special delight which accrues when wits speak wittily. Famed Polish wit Pope Paul tells Nancy Reagan the one about the ancient Hollywood actor who thought he was president, but couldn't tell a Nazi war grave from a hole in the ground. At the Highland Games, the royal family show their love of a witty joke when a local caber tosser roguishly tickles Prince Charles's sporran. American wit Ryan O'Neill told his daughter Tatum that unless she behaved, nobody would talk to her when she grew up except John McEnroe. These two British connoisseurs of wit have just heard that their beloved son is off across Africa again by car. And this British wit has just thought of a joke and is looking around for someone to tell it to. Ex-President Gerald Ford puts a foreign hostess at her ease by wittily imitating her facial deformity. Witty remarks can have an inhibiting effect in the bedroom. While still trying hard, he is through for the night because she has told him the one about the courgette that was left too long in the refrigerator. This famous British female wit laughed so hard at one of her own jokes that she cracked her head against her onyx dressing table and was unable to write a new novel for several hours afterward. You don't need a nose job, he told her wittily. I do, but I haven't had one. That's integrity. Why don't you let me hold those for you? He wittily asked, but she cut him dead. I think that covers the whole subject of wit, so we'll leave that.
Get rid of wit, so you won't need any more now, will you?
You and Victoria, is this the first show you've done together?
No, we're veterans of the show we've seen together. No, we did, what was it? Find out who it is.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth, yes. We couldn't find anybody. I mean, we had a woman on who was a bodybuilder.
Yes.
And I didn't even guess that. She's sitting there rippling her muscles. I said, no.
That's not her.
It must be a double bluff. I don't know. I got very nervous on that. I'll do it now. This is Clive James.
Yeah.
It's very puzzling. There aren't two other contestants pretending to be.
I comprehend all that. You've just been abroad, haven't you, like Victoria? Are you embarrassed by the English abroad?
I'm especially embarrassed by myself, yes. I behave as badly as any British person abroad, which is, you know, it's in the Premier Division, yes.
What about...
I was in sunny Mallorca. I go there every year. Since having acquired a place there, I feel bound to go and see it. But it's quite nice. Everybody is very badly behaved. British put on all these awful hats and dance to flamenco music, which is the most... I mean, steel bands are a joy compared to flamenco. Especially the English version of flamenco. It's just jumping on flies. It looks like they're all trying to kill insects. And always with a hat and a Tetley tea bag. And I took part in a very good piece of warfare against the Germans.
The Germans of Mallorca?
The Germans of Mallorca, they come every year, and there's a hotel on the beach, quite a nice hotel with green tiles. It looks like a toilet. I always coincide with the Germans, who are very, you know, they like getting up at 7 in the morning and putting their towel on the chair that they've already paid for. And they're out at 7 doing volleyball and all that stuff. And myself and a friend went round to the hotel at 5 o'clock in the morning, having gone to bed early, of course, to awake at dawn, and for a vast amount of money, booked all the chairs on the beach, and the Germans emerged and very quickly began saying, "Was ist los, Frau ist mein," whatever they say for chair. And the Spanish were very good. They went along with it and said, "I'm sorry, the chair is already booked." And I said, "But there's nobody sitting on the chair." And they said, "Well, there might be. There is another dimension and all this." Chairs are totally occupied by spirits, and the main point is they've been paid for.
I can see you've done a lot to heal relations between Britain and Germany.
Yes, it helped. I led a few on.
Yeah. Are you
insisted they play volleyball in front of the rest of the beach and, you know, went on runs.
You yourself, are you a beach lizard? Do you get a tan and all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm pathetic. I just go out there and lie uncomfortably and think, why am I doing this? Why don't I go over the road and lie on a bed and get it done that way? But no, and I'm very careful. I only go out for 3 minutes at midnight the first day.
You're lying there with your problems, Ken. And what are you reading? Do you read the book of the year?
I read what everybody else is reading, except I'd already read it. I made the mistake of already having read Robert Ludlum, The Aquitaine Progression. And I read it before, I couldn't read it again. All these Nazis plotting to bring down the world yet again. And tactless with all these Germans who've just been deprived of the beach. The year before, it was, I think it was Gorky Park. Everybody was reading Gorky Park. And I tried.
Nobody finished it.
Nobody finished it. It was about as well read as Don Quixote, I think. Which nobody has ever read. Including Cervantes. I don't believe it. I think he just wrote it and then I can't be bothered to read that.
And you see, they're all not reading The Name of the Rose, aren't they?
What is that?
Yeah, it's a book that nobody's finished.
Oh, good.
That's enough of books. We haven't.
Quite enough of books.
I want to talk about how you got to Mallorca or anywhere else travelling. What's your favourite means of travel?
Well, I really like to be beamed. It's not always available. Iberia don't do it. I think that's what Ridley should be doing, making beaming available to everybody.
But if you got beamed there, you'd still have to go to baggage claim, wouldn't you? Luggage is a problem.
Luggage? Oh, I don't think people should be allowed to travel with luggage. They should just buy it when they get there. Just hand baggage, tea bags, baked beans, T-shirt and shoes, buy the rest in the country they're going to.
You've got a reputation for being perverse, if I can put it that way. There's no other way of putting it, actually.
No, it's the only way to put it. Clive, we have to get down to blunt facts at this time of the evening. I have a reputation of evading questions and lying as well.
It is true, isn't it, that you tend to like what other people don't like at the time.
Oh, yes, it's pathetic. I mean, from the word go, if it was Stones, Beatles, I'd prefer the Stones. They'd prefer the Beatles. I'd say I prefer the Stones. I'd pick the Stones' least favourite number, the one they couldn't bear, and say it was the best thing they ever did. When the Beach Boys came along, I said Jan and Dean were much better, and I didn't like Jan and Dean very much, but they had done beach sounds before the Beach Boys, and I still am today. I mean, if pressed, I'd say that Donna Reed is a far better Miss Ellie than Barbara Bell Geddes.
Your favourite tennis player, now that Wimbledon's coming up, I bet...
Oh, well, nobody likes him, so I must like Lendl.
Ivan Lendl.
It's very difficult being perverse. I mean, to glue yourself to Ivan Lendl and say that the charm doesn't come through on the court, but it's all there in private. You know?
Who do you root for at Wimbledon, Victoria?
No, Teddy Tinling.
Teddy Tinling, yes. Oh, I haven't been there. Who was that? Big Bill Tilden was my favourite.
Who's he?
Big Bill Tilden?
Yes, do tell.
He was the only child molester to become champion at Wimbledon. I think he's dead, so that can go out, but...
I can tell you...
I don't think it's a sponsorship deal. I mean, I don't think...
That's enough of your reputation for being perverse.
Well, enough of that, yes.
Did you have a precocious talent? How early did it manifest itself, this...
First volumes of poetry when I was about 4. All destroyed during the Blitz. And, no, I think I used to write for Punch before I reached puberty. And 4 guineas you got at a section called Charivaria. And you made a little comment about the news. And they sent you 4 guineas. But the onset of puberty made me unable to contribute to Punch. It's not that I had other things to do. I went sending them off still, but they're all rejected.
You're sort of the Rambo of humour, were you? All your best work was behind you.
I see myself more as the Marquis de Sade of humour, or the Verlaine.
Were you confident at Cambridge? Were you?
I was eventually very. I arrived there like anybody else, and my first day I ran into a group of, turned out to be mathematicians and scientists around this big table at Pembroke. And so I did what I thought was normal, let's go out and see what the pubs are like. And I did that, and none of them ever bought a round. And I never saw them again until my last year when they emerged blinking into the sunlight, and all with first-class honours. But my second year, when I got into footlights, yeah, I became very overconfident.
I never asked you, Victoria, did you do any work at university at all?
No.
Did you get a degree?
Yes. BA, oh, go on then.
You're very, very shy about that, are you? Do you have regrets about the academic career you might have had?
No.
What about you, Peter?
Well, I regret in retrospect that I was never asked to be a spy. And I was never asked to be a mason.
Why aren't you? Weren't you asked to be a spy? I know why I wasn't asked to be. I wanted to be very much approached by MI5 and never was. That's because I was an Australian and they were regarded as potential traitors. But I should have thought, you know, you're a gent and everything. You were perfect casting.
Yes, it's theatrical background as well. That should have been.
Would you have been one if they'd asked you?
Well, I would like to have been a spy, yes. I'd still like to be a spy, but now... I've blown my cover, I suppose, though. If any foreign government approaches me, I would spy for them. I would betray my country's secrets at, well, I don't know how, what's your price? I certainly wouldn't betray them for having been seduced by an Arab. The gay squaddies of Cyprus. And of course, we're not allowed to read about the case because all our secrets have been given to the Russians. And therefore, we, the British, must not know what secrets have been given to the Russians. And that nice Norwegian has gone to jail for 20 years, who's betrayed the Norwegian secrets. The Norwegian secret being that, if attacked by the Russians, they'll capitulate. Our secret is that we will follow. I hope. I hope there's no resistance when the tanks roll into Hampstead after their Channel crossing.
There may be an element of truth in all this. I'm going to roll straight on and say I'm going to ignore the next 20 years when you left Cambridge and revolutionised the whole of British humour and decreated the climate which we all still inhabit.
Enjoying.
And I'm now going to ask you what inspires you at the moment. Are you a British television? Is that, you regard that as raw material? Do you like British television?
No, I don't know if Victoria was saying earlier, I never observe anything. I like watching television a great deal, but I don't sort of make notes on anything. I watch things, well, I had to be perverse. I watch Zora the Slave Girl on Channel 4, which is a Brazilian programme. Yeah. Australian rules football was on a few months ago.
Which not even Australians can understand.
No, it's very good.
What about Arthur C. Clarke's?
Arthur C. Clarke, it's a very good British programme. Arthur C. Clarke in Sri Lanka, surrounded by body servants, casts a glazed eye over fire walkers. And, oh, last week they had some remarkable people who...
Hopping over the coals.
Hopping over the coals.
Very swiftly. I made it. Their feet were burning.
But did you like the people who had hooks placed in their flesh?
Yes, I like that.
In their back, and then they hung.
Like a hammer, upside-down hammer.
Hung from their back for religious reasons.
No.
Or was it a...
I think it was to show they didn't care about God anyway, and the hook still didn't go.
Well, it is religious reason, isn't it?
Is it?
Showing you don't care about God.
I suppose it is.
I think it's all sponsorship again. Glue firm. I love that one where the man jumps up and hangs from the glue. That commercial.
His overalls.
Yes.
That must be awfully strong overalls.
That's very good. I like the Vortex ad as well.
The vortex, that's...
What's that?
Vortex is a very thick bleach.
It smells like the toilet.
It clings to the toilet
That's right.
even after flushing.
Very reassuring.
I suspect the vortex attacks the occupant of the toilet. I mean, it kills, like all the others, it kills all known germs, leaving the unknown germs to flourish. Only famous germs are killed by these bleachers. Shy killer germs just sort of say, oh, and I like that. What's the body mist? Impulse.
Where he buys the flowers.
Impulse, yeah. Apparently, if you put on Impulse, you smell so awful that people throw flowers at
you. You're a connoisseur of commercials, Victoria.
I like that one for smelly carpets. They say, does your carpet smell of... And they can't think of anything. Because people's carpets don't smell. They say, oh, cigars, dogs, cigars and dogs. And that's awful, because you don't... I mean, I've never smelt anybody's car.
There are commercials that I can't understand. There's a whole thing about Abdul the Bulbul, which I still don't know what it's advertising.
That's Fox.
It's a beer.
I think it's a documentary. I don't think it's a commercial.
Why am I supposed to drink it just because 6 guys riding a cycle through the sky dressed as Arabs singing a bad song? Tell us about American television.
I was in it. I was on it.
American sitcom.
American sitcom,
I hear they're a bit like the Church of Scientology. They're almost impossible to get out of once you're in them.
Oh, yeah, once you're in. The first thing I'd learned, normally over here, if you sign a contract, you're sort of committed to it. But in America, if you go to a second year, you renegotiate. The first thing my agent said was, Peter, I may have to ask you to stay at home. I said, why is that? He said, well, you'll be in dispute. I said, what with? They were perfectly nice people. He said, no, you'll just be artistically in disputation with these people. A friend of mine actually was in a sitcom for 3 years, and he couldn't bear it any longer. And he drove into a tree, which he injured himself enough to get out of it. And then they turned it into a series. A man drives into a tree, and what happens to him afterwards? But the demands of the stars get more, they get beautifully ridiculous. Red Fox, who used to just tell filthy jokes. And then he was in Sanford and Son, which is Steptoe and Son translated to America. And he'd asked for all the money in the world and everything else. He decided to have a new thing to complain about the 3rd season. He complained about the view from his dressing room. A huge trailer. He said, I can't stand this view. Oh, I'm not coming back with this view. He's black, by the way. Well, he was when I last saw him. And so, I'm very sorry, Mr. Fox, there's very little we can do. You can get a better view in here. And they erected a huge screen outside his dressing room and projected waves coming in or snow scenes, whatever Mr. Fox wanted. Naked women were projected onto the screen and thrown into his trailer.
We want to hear a lot more about that, but we're running out of airtime, so we have to continue that with the lights off. For the moment, I have to say, Victoria Wood and Peter Cook, thank you. Thank you very much.